Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast with Rohan Arun. Rohan was on the pod probably 2 months ago or 1 month ago. And yeah, we just scratched the surface with his startup that's called AgentsBase.ai. So thought I'd have him on the pod again. He's a 3X founder, raised about 4 million. And yeah, I worked at a YC startup called Computer Vision back then. So Rohan, welcome again. If you could tell us a bit more about yourself first and Agent Base, tell us about what you're building there.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So the premise behind AgentsBase is it allows automating marketing agents at scale to formalize marketing. And the reason we built it is because we actually started during the pandemic to help people rebuild online businesses. And our original thesis was we needed to build better automation tools to because a lot of the businesses I was helping had very similar scaffolding, and that's just a consequence of business and the economy. And we were the first startup approved by OpenAI to sell GPT-3 for automation in August 2021. And so back then, no one else was really doing automation with GPT-3. And we have this tool that you would ask, like, let's say you wanted to find machine learning engineers to hire. It would open up Indeed, it would generate JavaScript, Chrome extension code to open up these websites, scrape them, automate them, and then send it to a Google Sheet. The interesting insight that we had, so we had several interesting insights. So that went viral actually because we timed the launch for that product about a week after ChatGPT launched. And we started like years before ChatGPT. And it grew to like 50K MRR, and it tapered off because we weren't actually meaningfully helping our ICP. And what I mean by that, a lot of the early customers were ChatGPT hype customers. And we noticed in the metrics after we had like prompt engineering courses and we taught people how to build automations, the usage would always drop off. And a lot of customers were asking us to build automations for them and like consulting. And it was a lot of the similar automations, mostly like social automations, marketing automations, things like that. So each customer would only go so shallow in each one of these similar automations. And at scale, we basically noticed that across thousands of users, most people don't know how to run a business even manually. Most of the world is non-technical, and so they wouldn't know what to automate. So if we just give them an RPA tool, even if it's the best RPA tool in the world, we actually invented like a state-of-the-art tracking algorithm that replaced the brittle code selectors. We were the first startup to invent that semantic targets algorithm that many startups copied and things like that. Even if you invent like these amazing technologies, you have to put the burden on the customer to solve the problem, and they might not even know how to do it manually. So how would they know what to automate? So we had this interesting insight last year, and we got into the Antler accelerator, and that also like solidified this insight where most of our customers were kind of going in this direction. And to meaningfully help our customers, we could basically solve the last mile for marketing and build agents that automates A/B testing, generating content at scale. Yeah, that's the onboarding. You basically just need to sign up. We research your business from your business email, and we start generating content, repurposing videos. You can scale up to hundreds of agents per day that run on a network of real phones. And so basically, this allows us to actually help customers who are even starting from zero. For example, like sales agents, you need like a B2B product. And it allows us to help everyone that I was helping during the pandemic basically grow any brand, but specifically we're focusing on e-commerce brands right now. And so there's like a big viral trend on TikTok where e-commerce brands, there's like a viral loop on e-commerce brands being able to sell really quickly on TikTok. And so, yeah, I can kind of show you a little bit more about how it, if I can share my screen. Let me see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so as a customer, you just need to enter business description or even just sign up with your email and upload any brand assets that have done well. And then we multiply that at scale across a network of hundreds of real phones. So I have a stack of hundreds of real phones next to me that automates A/B testing, generating content, and posting 1,200 videos per month. So because we're doing it, we're automating everything. So we have a network of thousands of agents that actually automate creating the accounts for you. Each agent automates posting to TikTok, YouTube, Medium, Instagram, and Reddit. It's orders of magnitude more effective than ads. So we're getting about 0.1 to 0.5 CPM, depending on the market. And it's actually more sustainable than ads because since we're posting to Medium, YouTube, Twitter, and Reddit, the search engines are tracking all of these things. So particularly for niche e-commerce brands that don't have much content out there yet, it's very easy for like within a month or a few months for a brand to start showing up on even the AI models. So we start showing up, we get on average 10 organic keywords on SEMrush for customers within 1 month. The minimum is usually like 4 keywords or something. And the maximum has been like 630 keywords. And so even after you turn these agents off that are generating content, 1,200 pieces of content per month per agent, they still keep driving traffic. So it's more sustainable than ads and orders of magnitude better CPM and up to 30x ROI, especially for things like e-commerce brands or consumer AI apps. And then so as a customer, you basically just need to set up a business description. That's it. And then everything else starts automating A/B testing from there. But we also do things that are impossible. So we automate certain things that marketing teams already do. Like we generate blogs with like top 10 lists and listicles, and we repurpose content. But we're able to do things at scales that are impossible for human teams. So for example, we download all those thousands of videos and the agents transcribe all the content to figure out the unstructured demographic data of the actual content versus the views or the sales. And so this allows us a path for the agents to automate generating better content over time. Basically in the like previous era of social automation, it used to be like for the last decade or so, there used to be these tools where you would automate likes and follows. And we had a lot of customers who had us build those kinds of automations. And the premise was because you would see the notification on your phone, there was like a 1-to-1 ratio of growth. There's a small percent chance that that person would come back, look at your profile, and then go look at your product. So that wasn't very effective. But we had customers who are using those tools who are still growing constantly, and they hadn't posted in years. And so we had some famous customers who were like famous actors, actresses, one foreign government official, and even like a knitting Instagram. And like the common thread between all of them was basically they generated good content. So with this, back then, there's like for the last like maybe we've been automating socials for like since 2018. So we have a lot of deep insight on this problem. Back then, it wasn't really possible to solve that problem besides telling customers to like generate better content. So right now with models like VO3 and even just repurposing content, we're able to get like orders of magnitude better results than ads and even scale up better than influencers, because if you spend money on ads, the pain points are typically you're wasting a lot of money on testing content. With these agents, you're generating like 1,200 pieces of video per month for 10 cents per video. One of those videos always does best, and we send you emails of all the content that does best. And so you can take the winners and then scale those up with ads or influencers. And then the pain points typically with influencers are like you have to negotiate with all the influencers. They have like nebulous CPMs, and it's really hard to even scale to like larger budgets. So most budgets top off at a certain like hundreds of thousands of dollars because you have to manage all these people. So with what we're doing is we're an order of magnitude cheaper than those influencers because we're automating doing exactly the same things, but at scales that are impossible for those influencers basically. So we do a lot of other interesting things under the hood that like allow our agents basically to learn over time. So for example, we've had customers who, when they started, the agents didn't get many views, but basically over time learned what kind of targets, like influencers, like Gary Vee, to target and repurpose content. And now each future customer that joins in that market doesn't have to start from zero. So the exciting thing is we're actually growing this kind of defensive moat of content versus a high engagement. So basically we're collecting data that allows us to eventually train custom like content models for images and videos based on mostly the open source models without doing a lot of work, but also optimizing for high conversion rates. For now, we're mostly just using the bleeding edge because there's not really like an equivalent open source model for things like VO3 and the ImageN model for generating content like we've been doing. But we've been collecting the data to train that model. Eventually, we expect probably by next year that will be possible.
And
So,
what's the stack behind all of this?
oh yeah, so we actually built our own. I wonder if I can show you. We have our own no-code agents platform that we built before because we thought that was the solution was to build RPA. But if you look at the RPA market, like UiPath and things like that, their stock isn't doing that well because they're targeting a market of people who know what RPA is. So I just switched to another tab, and or at least have like a budget to go hire someone to go learn what RPA UiPath is. Most of the world has never used UiPath. They don't know what UiPath is. And if they knew what to automate, then RPA would probably be the thing we should focus on. But most of our ICP doesn't know what to automate and would need like consulting or something anyway. So I think we're at a stage where like we can build agents for some of these problems that actually solves the last mile entirely for things like marketing and sales and HR. I think there's like an upper limit in what we can do with these things. And then so we're close enough now where we're already achieving results that are kind of impossible for humans. But yeah, so we built this. I don't know if you can see my screen. We built this no code editor that uses these semantic targets that we invented. And it's actually an open source tool, so you can try it if you want. Let me see if I can get to the GitHub. Open Agent Studio. And we invented this semantic targets algorithm. We were probably the first to invent this. Let me share my screen. So you've probably seen other automation tools use this like boxing algorithm, but we created this. This is like years before ChatGPT. We built a multimodal model called Atlas 2 to basically calculate the percent that any UI element on the screen matches your intent. And then so now you can target things with English. And so this made things much easier for us to automate anything basically. So that's what we use to build AgentsBase. That's the tech stack for all the agents and things like that. But the more interesting thing is we're actually now plugging into like models like VO3. We're trying to get Higgs Field, HeyGen, Runway ML, and like there's like new models popping up like daily, like VO3, that kind of pushes the limits of what we can emulate. In like I think we're now at the stage where some of our customers who spend the most on content are like spending a lot of money on like high production content for artists and rappers and things like that. And they already like that works for them, but they're making clips and it costs them like a lot of money to set up all the cameras and things like that. You can now generate most of those videos using VO3. And like but like for months ago, it wasn't actually cost effective, but now it's suddenly cost effective to switch to doing VO3 because the expenses, I don't know, like $30 or something for a minute of video, but it's much cheaper than hiring like a whole production team, and you can get almost the same or even like impossible shots. So we have that now. We've integrated VO3. Like the RPA stuff was interesting, but it didn't really meaningfully help our customers because we have to basically put the burden of learning what to automate on them still. And we're close enough with agents that we know how to do marketing and automation well, and we can go much further deeper by spending years. And for example, setting up this network of I have like hundreds of agents and dozens of phones next to me that would cost thousands of dollars for any one customer to do. But with AgentsBase, they can just hit a slider and set up hundreds of agents tonight if they want to do it. It doesn't cost thousands of dollars actually. And so basically, I think this will happen across like many different verticals. We wanted to focus on marketing because we have like this unique insight over years of how to do this well, and building automation products that are unblockable and like its own. I think that's one of my phones maybe, or have like our own like bleeding edge processes and insight and ideas on like what the upper limit is going to be. So I think this kind of market actually has the potential to be like, there'll be probably ads and influencers, and then something else like synthetic influencers in the future. And
Interesting.
yeah, and so if we do
Does
this
that apply to
well,
B2B as well, like or just like B2C?
yeah, even eventually B2C as well. So I mean, these e-commerce brands are B2C, and they can also run these agents. So I think, I mean, this category will exist in the future. So if we do well, the opportunity here is billions per year. We're competing directly with Google Ads budgets, and we're getting orders of magnitude more traffic, and possibly even higher conversion rates because we have many smaller accounts. They tend to have higher engagement rates, and they look like more real people than ads. And that tends to be like the direction that people are going in purchasing patterns. Basically, a lot of also younger audiences are only consuming content on TikTok, and so basically we suspect like this market will exist and grow larger in the future. And we've built the first synthetic influencer network of hundreds of phones. We just did like a live stream where you could see all the phones running in parallel and things like that.
And why do you have all these phones next to you? Why not like buy this from a company and run them remotely?
Oh, so we did test. So this is probably like a trade secret. We can't give this away, but there's a reason why we get maybe like 100 times better results when we run on this specific setup of real phones. And we've tested like running cloud servers and all that sorts of things. But basically, there's multiple reasons why that doesn't work as well, or the CPM works out more expensive than ads somehow. And so we've kind of got the unit economics down to around 10 cents to our customers, but internally it's like 1 cent. And we're running on free cloud credits. So we have this interesting opportunity here where the arbitrage, like you can make a lot of money selling these agents, and we'll keep growing very quickly. But there's an interesting arbitrage where you can just completely go vertical on finding like a hole in the market using our agents to understand the research of what e-commerce brands are doing well, but just don't have anything like in their searches yet, and then like distributing at 0.1 cent CPM, much higher arbitrage, basically owning the full vertical stack that allows us to both build a better product, but also potentially make a lot of money. Actually, yeah.
So it's like posting from a physical mobile device, like so that the social media it signals to them that it's a real person posting it. I think that's the quote unquote secret. I mean, I've seen it myself with like my YouTube videos, right? Like when I press live, I might get 216 viewers per live stream, and this live stream is probably gonna get 5 people just because it's StreamYard and
Yeah,
it's on the computer and it's a different software.
yeah.
So
So they do
yeah,
treat the APIs differently. You can test this yourself. You can try using the APIs to post the exact same content, and you'll notice that it gets orders of magnitude more views. It's more likely to show up on the For You page. Basically, what happened is around 2017, there was research that came out from in the Instagram security team where they applied a trust score to every user. So they know when you're not using certain, when you instantly use a proxy or a VPN, they know. So actually, your home network is the safest and best option to automate anything. And then, like as soon as you use an API, or if you use the browser itself, even they treat you as a different trust score. And it's just like based on internal testing that they just get better results or more organic, real ad sales maybe from the actual phones. And that just might be a consequence of bots taking advantage of the APIs and the browser automation so much that they just have to factor that into their calculations, basically.
right. And okay, what do you charge your customers nowadays? Like, what's the MRR? How's it growing?
Oh, okay. So we launched this in January. We so as a customer, you can scale up to like a $5 million a month budget, but our largest customer is paying $10,000 a month. So you can, if you pay $10,000 a month, that basically runs and scales to a certain number of agents. So we take your budget. It's kind of like a Google Ads budget. So we could actually go right up against your Google Ads budget. Typically like $5,000 a month test budgets. Our largest is around $10,000 a month now. But you can start with $9 a day. Actually, that's the minimum you can start with, and then scale that up if you do well. I mean, I don't recommend scaling up unless you have something that gets sales and has product market fit, because the problems also scale up. But once you have like an e-commerce product that is getting hundreds of sales on viral videos, we can take that viral video and then multiply it across thousands of accounts. And so that's probably the most effective our customers are doing. The ones that are making the most money are like wellness e-commerce brands right now.
Interesting. And how do you get these clients yourself?
Mostly because we're a startup and this is such a new thing, our largest customers have been through our networks or friends of friends. And so this opportunity is so large, we've set up an agency model where you can actually white label. We have white labels globally, around 70 white label agencies, marketing agencies who are setting up. The largest one is in Australia. The Australian one itself just hit 2.3K MRR. And but like this opportunity is so large that I could never capture it in the US myself. And the bottleneck right now is setting up phones. So now what we have is actually agencies setting up phones globally, and they are getting mostly the same thing. Like the largest customers, just by virtue of being a startup, are typically people through your personal network. So for example, we found a private equity firm that does a lot of wellness brands, and we don't have the capacity now to even onboard all of their portfolio companies, but it's a good problem to have actually. So we're onboarding them as quickly as possible.
Right. And what if the algorithm modifies itself and from one day to another the physical phone hack doesn't work anymore?
So actually, that's a good question. So when we started on servers, and we have this ethos of do things that don't scale. So everything we test manually first. And if you look at like the security research and the current state of the art understanding and security for this, is they're not trying to solve. They can't prevent bots actually. They can't solve that problem. What they're trying to do is force bots into either full browser automation or full phone automation. When in fact we're already at full phone automation, and for us, what we're selling is worth it enough that we're okay with setting up phones. It's not a problem for us. For like web scrapers, their arbitrage is so small. I understand they probably don't want to do that actually. So what will probably happen is, yeah, eventually they'll be like a cat and mouse game. So when we started, we ran servers that were using the APIs to post. And then we were manually posting on phones, and we realized that the manual posts were just getting like 100 times more views. And so we realized, okay, now we have to automate phones. So like there was a day we just switched over from servers to phones, and we just built the phone automation app. And the next day it was working. It was exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. For a guy like me that's in B2B, should I just like post on my phone? Isn't there like a better hack than doing all that manual shit, or should I use you? Like, what's my solution?
Yeah, so it depends on the market. Even B2B, you can start growing organic traffic because we post to Medium, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit. And so all these get indexed by the search engines anyway.
But not LinkedIn.
We don't do LinkedIn. We don't do LinkedIn because LinkedIn is like, they're like litigious if you grow large enough. So even if you do figure it out, they just sue you. And we don't want to risk our customers. They have a unique design in their network where your connections are only your friends and people you're actually connected with. And those are the only people who can initially see the traffic anyway. So if we automate those accounts, we risk like their business accounts, things like that. We don't want to really do that. What we might do is like analyze their history of posts and then suggest like content that should do well based on the engagement rates and things like that. But so the reason this is working well is because we're posting to networks that get indexed by the search engines. It starts driving organic traffic to even B2B businesses. So we have a B2B business where we have like a case study. We're working on a few case studies. It's mostly e-commerce wellness brands that are doing well right now, but we're also working with like B2B businesses. And with ours, the best results was with ours because we've been running it the most. So around 10 months ago, we were getting like organically under 20 signups per day. And then what happened was we started posting this constantly. And you can see like in SEMrush, actually, it's gaining like keywords, like hundreds of keywords. And so what ended up happening, now we're getting like between 100 to 200 signups per day, almost a 10x improvement. It took like 10 months to get there. But even if we turn the agents off, because it's like embedded across the internet now, it still keeps driving that organic traffic. So I can recommend it even for B2B businesses. As a startup, we want to focus on like wellness brands. But if you're a startup, a B2B startup especially, we have a special hack where if you have cloud credits, we can set you up with like hundreds of agents using your cloud credits. So you can actually, with Google Cloud for Google AI startups, one of our customers just got 100,000 in cloud credits, and we just set up 100 agents for them using their cloud credits. And when they run out, they'll have to like buy agents and things like. But if it works well, they'll have the money to do that. It's kind of crazy. They're getting like hundreds of agents. 100 agents are posting 1,200 pieces of video per month and emailing them 1,200 pieces of video per month right now. So it's kind of
It's just fascinating, the agentic revolution, quote unquote, like mixing automation and AI, and also what you've built, and how we're going to have like the AI agents as employees, that we're going to pay companies instead of employees, I feel, in the near future. But yeah, I think it's great. And I'd like to try your platform. Even I'd like for B2B, I'm pretty sure I can get some kind of return out of it. So thanks for being on again, Rohan. Where can people find out more about you?
So you can go to agentsbase.ai, and I personally onboard all of our customers. So if you're interested, I'll meet you during the onboarding live.
That was Rohan and Charles for another Founder Wisdom